There is a large amount of evidence for the Bible's view of a young universe. However, the old Earth perspective has held a monopoly in the public schools, in the major academic centers, and in the popular media for generations. It is no wonder then that most scientists share the old Earth perspective. It's all they were taught growing up in school, it's all they learned at the universities where they got their degrees, it's what most of their colleagues profess. But there are dissenters among the scientific community, and their numbers are growing, because more and more scientists are confronting a growing body of evidence which challenges the old Earth paradigm. No scientific method can prove the age of the universe. All calculated ages involve making assumptions about the past, the starting time of the clock, the speed of the clock, and that the clock was never disturbed. There is no independent natural clock against which we can test the assumptions. For example, the amount of cratering on the moon based on currently observed cratering rates suggests that the moon is quite old. However, to draw this conclusion, we have to assume that the rate of cratering has always been the same as it is now. There is now good reason to think that cratering might have been quite intense in the past, so the craters do not indicate an old age at all. Science entails observation, and the only reliable means of telling the age of anything is by a testimony of a reliable witness who observed the events. The Bible claims to be the communication of the only one who witnessed the events of creation, the Creator himself. If the book of Genesis is interpreted literally, it seems to indicate that the earth and the universe are around 6,000 years old. In Exodus 20 verse 11, God himself declared on a stone, "For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is." So what are the evidences for a young universe as declared in the Bible? Glad you asked. In this video, I will give you 5 evidences that point to a young age for the universe. The stars of our own galaxy, the Milky Way, rotate about a galactic center with different speeds, the inner ones rotating faster than the outer ones. The observed rotation speeds are so fast that if our galaxy were more than a few 100 million years old, it would be a featureless disk of stars, instead of its present spiral shape. Yet our galaxy is supposed to be at least 10 billion years old. Evolutionists call this the winding up dilemma, which they have known about for 50 years. They have devised many theories to try to explain it, each one failing after a brief period of popularity. The same winding up dilemma also applies to other galaxies. For the last few decades, the favorite attempt to resolve this puzzle has been a complex theory called density waves. The theory has conceptual problems, has to be arbitrarily and very finely tuned, and has been called into serious question by the Hubble Space Telescope's discovery of a very detailed spiral structure in the central hub of the Whirlpool Galaxy, M51. Meteors of various types fall to the Earth continually. Some reach the surface and are then called meteorites. Nearly all the rocky bodies in the solar system have suffered similar bombardment, which according to uniformitarian theories occurred at least 3.5 billion years ago. Yet all the meteorites discovered on Earth without exception are present in the most superficial stratum. No meteorites have ever been found in the deeper, older sedimentary strata. This finding shows that the sedimentary strata were laid down rather quickly and far more recently than it is conventionally supposed. Isaac Asimov has propounded a theory that crustal mixing has removed all traces of meteorites, but the constituent elements, especially nickel from those meteorites, should still be present and would not have been removed. The lack of nickel bears further witness against this theory. The rotational speed of the Earth is gradually slowing down on account of the gravitational drag forces of the Sun and Moon along with other factors. If the Earth were really billions of years old as claimed, it should already be in a tidal lock with the Sun. Lord Kelvin, the 19th century physicist who introduced the Kelvin temperature scale, used this slowing down rotation as a reason why the Earth could not be very old. He calculated that had the Earth existed for 7.2 billion years, its rotational speed would have been twice the present speed. This would have produced a difference of 86 kilometers between the equatorial and polar radii of the Earth. The decline in rotation rate is now known to be greater than previously thought. If the Earth had existed for 5 billion years, then the difference between polar and equatorial radii would still have been significantly greater than it actually is. Furthermore, the continents would have been distributed into tropical regions, and the world's oceans would have collected into temperate and polar regions. This is a distribution that Calvin also would have predicted, and he cited lack of such findings as a falsification of a great age for the Earth. Thus, by either Lord Calvin's original calculations or a more modern one, the Earth cannot be more than a few thousand years old. According to evolutionary theory, comets are supposed to be the same age as the solar system, about 5 billion years. Yet each time a comet orbits close to the Sun, it loses so much of its material that it could not survive much longer than about 100,000 years. Many comets have typical ages of less than 10,000 years. Evolutionists explain this discrepancy by assuming that comets come from an unobserved spherical Oort cloud, well beyond the orbit of Pluto. Improbable gravitational interactions with infrequently passing stars often knock comets into the solar system, and other improbable interactions with planets slow down the incoming comets often enough to account for hundreds of comets observed. So far, none of these assumptions has been substantiated either by observations or realistic calculations. The fact that we see comets fits perfectly in a young universe. According to astronomical observations, galaxies like our own experience about one supernova, a violently exploding star, every 25 years. The gas and dust remnants from such explosions, like the Crab Nebula, expand outward rapidly and should remain visible for over 1 million years. Yet, the nearby parts of our galaxy in which we could observe such gas and dust shells contain only about 200 supernova remnants. That number is consistent with only about 6,000 years worth of supernovas. So if the universe were billions of years old, we should see many different things. They should not be spiral galaxies or comets. The Earth should have been in a tidal lock with the Sun by now, and the continents should not be where they are. The universe should be full of supernova remnants, yet that is not what we see. The universe displays exactly what we should expect if everything was about 6,000 years old. The older theory constantly needs to invoke rescuing devices to explain all these things. They would rather believe and have faith in the most ridiculous notions rather to follow the obvious evidence that the universe is young. But you see, when you accept that, then it follows that there is a creator, and that is the whole problem for them. These and numerous other scientific evidences for a young Earth theory give credence to the Bible's account of the creation of the Earth and universe as found in Genesis. Thanks for watching, guys, and may you all have a blessed day.